back then, what was your impressions of him? Because again, you said you're 19, maybe 20,
Mm,
and here's this guy who's a world champion. And while he's not the biggest guy, I'm sure to you he was larger than life. And then
mm.
you had Rudy Boy. Was it? I'm curious about the coaching style. Was it intense? Was it you know because there's different forms of coaching where and I'm gonna throw a name out there I don't know personally, but you hear rumors of like Bill DeMott has a very intense coaching style, for example, and then you'll hear other people they're more of a supportive coaching style. Well, it can still get intense because I mean you're doing a physical industry, but
Mm.
what style do you think they more fell into, and what was it like overall training with them?
It was intense. It wasn't. It wasn't. Trying to think of, there was no bullying. There was
Okay.
no. There was no. There was no hazing or harassment or anything like that. There was nobody who was being picked on.
Was it a make
But
you quit mentality, or was it just we want the best from you mentality?
they weren't trying to make people quit, but people quit.
Yeah.
Get up, go, get up, go, and people just they'd stop getting up and they get yelled at, get up, go, get up, go. And then what they would do is instead of putting themselves through that the next day, they would just go back to Nebraska or wherever they came from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of people quit. It was really hard. It was really hard. It was up in an attic in San Antonio in the summer.
Oh,
Uh,
hot, stuffy, I bet.
it was really stuffy. I vomited a lot. Um, a lot of guys vomited. Uh, but you just if you want to do it, you just do it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it worked and you made your way through. Another question I'm curious about the the style of training because again, you hear about different forms, right? Like some people on
Mm,
their first day of training, all they do is rolls, or some they don't even get in the ring yet. And then
mhm,
other times, I was talking to Tyler Bateman
mm,
just 2 nights ago, and he was talking about when he first trained. His first day, he was learning to run the ropes and doing bumps, and he thought it was strange in comparison to the way a lot of people train.
mhm.
When you first broke in, or when you first started training there, you were already kind of experienced. So did they take that into account, or did they restart you right from the beginning?
Oh, I started right from scratch, and uh, any sort of training wasn't something that um, I hope I didn't brag about
Yeah.
because all it's going to be is a disadvantage. If I've already done this before and I'm still doing it crappy, that's no good. So yeah, I not only did I train like everybody else, once I graduated, they let me take the class again. After that class, I took the class after that. After that class, I took the class after that. Then I got shipped to Memphis. So I took the class 4 times.
Repetition, repetition, repetition to get better, right?
Yep.
Did you find that you had to unlearn anything you had learned previously? That maybe like something you had learned from the previous trainers, they didn't like the way you were doing it because of that? And you might not even remember because I know it's been a while, but do you think that was at all an issue?
There might have been, it would have been so minor
Hmm.
because what I would have learned at the NWA Southwest, they got me to where I knew the basics. I could hit the ropes, front bump, back bump, those simple things, and their technique was the same as Shawn's technique, so I don't think any of that had to change. I remember coming back to Shawn's though after living in Memphis and training with Regal, that the chain wrestling did not mesh with Shawn's style because it was very British and a little too confusing for the students.
That's interesting. I guess maybe like you were too advanced at that point, maybe compared. Is that a strong word to use, or
Yeah, I mean, because you learn if these kids are learning, you do the wrist like this,
yeah?
and then if I'm doing with these nuances that might be even better, it, you can't get into that with these kids. They're still learning a wrist from a hammer from a top wrist lock, which is surprisingly for me. I top wrist lock and hammer lock, it would just spin my head in circles
Hmm.
at first. So I think that's why. Let's not confuse these kids with other versions. This is the way for now.
that kind of makes sense, because what I've always heard and what I've seen from different trainers is the general mentality is train in a fairly robotic way so you get
Mm.
everything down pat, and then once you have everything down, then you can start adding your little flares to everything to start mixing it up and stand out as a performer. But you need to learn how to do everything properly before you can start learning other ways to do it. Does that basically the gist of it?
I yes, and I would think that that makes the most sense too.
Absolutely. And as a trainer, I definitely trust your opinion on that one. So